Second wide line on Lamed Hayom Beis. So we were discussing the sugya of how we know that women are patur from shaving their beards, shaving their payas, and not tamei mace. Right? So those were the three, and we had back and forth with the psukim, which we're going to again have tonight, more back and forth with the psukim. But then Isi, for second wide line down, Isi Tani, Isi had a meaning, again, we said a woman kayin can become tamei mace. All women could shave their payas and they could shave their face. Right? Isi Tani, he added a fourth. Af bal yikruchu nashim peturas. Even in the Isra of bal yikruchu, which is you're not allowed to. Kereach means to smooth, meaning you're not allowed to make a bald spot. And there are a couple of isurim which we're going to discuss now that the Torah said, and the reasoning behind the Torah is that because that's what goyim do when they're mourning, so they either cut themselves or they cut themselves or they make a bald spot in their head. All right. So the question is, not the question. Isi says a woman is patur. If a woman does this, she's going to be patur. Right? My time of the Isi. Why does Isi say this? The Darish Hachi, this is the way he darshans a pasuk. Banim atem lashem elekechem. You should be sons to Hashem. Loisiskaidu. You shouldn't cut yourselves. And based on loisiskaidu, yes, don't listen. It's confusing, but we call not doing your own minhagim when other people are around, right? As loisiskaidu. Don't make how do you call it? Don't make groups. Don't make groups or something. What? Right? So that, but really, loisiskaidu means not to make a cut. And then don't make a bald spot between your eyes, lemeis. Because you're kaddish. So it says in the pasuk, it says males, right? Banim atem lashem elikechem, right? Right? So it's mashma. Only males have this issue, not females. Okay, so now there's two isurim in the pasuk. There's one is not to cut yourself, and one is not to make yourself bald. So which one is a woman part of? And which one is a woman part of? From Atayim Lakarcha, Ayena Lilagedida, right? Is she part from the making herself bald, or is she part from cutting herself? So it says because you're an Am Kaddish, Hare Gedida Amar. That's talking about Gedida. Right? Hamani Mekayim Banim Veloy Banis. So then what are we saying Banim Veloy Banis? Lakarcha. So it's coming for karcha, meaning it's basically how do you chop up the pasuk? Where do you put the commas, and where do you not? So the Gemara is thinking that the gedida goes on the bottom atem lashem elekechem, and the stimul karcha goes on kiyam kodeshat. Right? I'm sorry, I said it the opposite. Kiyam kodeshat l'shem lekecha, that's going on gedida, and banim v'lay banis is going on karcha. So Gemara says, who says Mari Isa l'Rabbis is a gedida, loyalty is a karcha? Who says that you should include gedida and exclude karcha? Again, gedida is cutting, karcha is making bald. Marbani is a gedida. Sheyeshem makam aseir, v'shalei makam aseir. Gedida. Anytime you cut yourself, it doesn't make a difference where on the body you cut yourself. If somebody cuts themselves as a sign of mourning, then that is usher, no matter where on the body it is. But let's exclude making bald. Obviously, the issur of somebody making themselves bald is only when it's on a place on the body where there's hair. So clearly, there is much less room on the body to be over on the issur of karcha than there is on gedida. Right? And Mela, if we're trying to figure out which one women are part of, which one are not, then l'chayre we'd say that the women are in the more chomer one, which is the not to make a cut in the body, but to make themselves bald. That's not it. That wouldn't be included. Right? Okay, so Gemara asks, who says you have to exclude it? Why can't you just say, right? Again, the pasuk says, why can't that be going, both of those words be going on banim and leibanos? Right? Why does the Gemara seem to say that they're included in the isser of cutting and excluded from the isser of making bald? Why? Let them be excluded from both. Right? Maybe that's talking about a third subject, which is srita. Srita is scratching. Right? So scratching is pshat that it's not cutting and it's certainly not making bald. Right? Maybe that's where they have the isser. Because now I don't, by the way, it's time to talk practical. There is, unfortunately, out there a psychological issue of, I don't know why, I mean, men have it, but in a much less, it's interesting that the Gemara is talking here about excluding women from it, because Bizman Hazeh, I hope people are not too familiar, but Bizman Hazeh, women cutting themselves is an issue. Teenage girls cutting themselves is an issue, right? I don't think that that's the Isser, meaning the Isser that we're talking about here. I'm not sure though. I would have been, if I didn't check Lulavin is talking for 6 hours today, maybe I would have had time to check it out. But it's that this is dafka on a mace. Now it could be somebody cuts themselves as a sign of mourning on a mace. Usually they're cutting themselves because there's obviously not good things going on in their lives, never, right? But if it's not on a mace, it's not so pashut that it's usher. It could be it's usher al chavol of the body, but not meant to be mechabel the body is a isser. But it's not necessarily usher al that.
What's the issue? Let's say the tattoo is sweet.
Tattoo is a different isser.
What's
you mean
that?
It's a tattoo nechlal in this?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Taka. Maybe it's another isser. You know what's interesting on this thing with the cutting? That's why this week, this is a sugya for this week. You know, running an IV. But chassidim, any lady pregnant, nursing, they run an IV. Right? They're running, those chassidim are popping IVs come this Erev Yom Kippur like it's going out of style. Right? Any lady who has any sort of issues going on IV. Rav Moshe Feinstein says in the Tshuva, no way. He says, no, do not. Rav Moshe says better a woman should eat or drink shiurim on Yom Kippur than to run an IV.
What do you mean? They run the IV the whole Yontif?
Yeah. Because it's not. It's only the Isra Achil is through the mouth. Rav Moshe doesn't like it for two reasons. One, it's chavala. You're destroying the body for no reason. Why should you do chavala over eating shiurim on Yom Kippur? There's no chiyuv karas for eating shiurim. It's only asur al tzchatzi shir is also min ha-Torah. Right? So why should you do chavala? And he was also concerned for infection. Right? So it's interesting, this whole concept of chavala of the body. But anyways, so now the Gemara is asking,
how many people get nowadays? How many people get infections from it?
Oh, so that's a good point. So now what they say is nowadays, all from what I understand, all doctors say, is Dr. Corman on? We usually end up having a conversation or two about this before Yom Kippur. The doctors all say a 24-hour IV is never getting infected. The IVs that get infected is when you have it in for a week or two, whatever it is, then they get infected. They just pop it for 24, 25 hours. Nobody gets infections. So then you only have to deal with the chavala issue. So that's a shaila, whether that's destroying the body, if that's a necessity to destroy the body or not. For that, you make a hole in the body. But anyways, so the srita, so maybe it's talking about srita. So now we're adding a third thing into the mix.
Jack, would a person, not a pregnant person, be able to hook himself up to IV for Yom Tif?
Why not?
Yeah.
If you hold that, it's more. I mean, if you hold again, if you don't go with Rav Moshe,
no.
if you don't go with Rav Moshe, the Chassidish Shabbos can disagree with Rav Moshe. That's why they're popping the IVs. So if you go with the Chassidish Shabbos, I don't see why not. I mean, obviously, it's not in the spirit.
I don't say they're not considered chaylim. Somebody, if they're pregnant, they're this.
I'm talking about Stama guy who wants
They
to
are, but
get
it's
an
with the
IV.
pregnant women do have to fast. That's what it says. I told a woman today to go to run an IV, but I mean, it's if we do it sort of a pshara, like if be'etzem she shouldn't fast, but we can't tell her not to fast because Allah says otherwise, then we say run an IV. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Is it because it's not in the spirit of Yom Kippur? Is that the pshat?
Not for a pregnant or a nursing woman. For Aaron Kaplan's already getting ideas. He wants steak flavored IV. He's ready to start rolling with that on Yom Kippur, right? So that already is certainly.
People that
Well,
get drunk
according to you, that would be mutter. You said not Ramesha, but according to some, it would be no
Oh
problem.
yeah, it's mutter.
Yeah. Somebody has a Crohn's. Somebody has so I'm saying
that might be a reason. Yeah, that might be a reason. That might be a good reason. Yeah. Anyways, so anyway, the Torah takes a big chashivas to the body. That's the bottom line. Not to destroy it, not to make holes in it, not to, you know what I mean? Not to make tattoos. Yeah. Anyway, so the Gemara's thinking maybe it's with Srita. So the Gemara answers on the bottom line, Kasavri isi Srita Gedida on Tamar Aleph now Achasi. Srita and Gedida are the same thing. Right? Right, Rashi says, Mashmoya Stein, Bain Biyad, Bain Bekli. It's the same, meaning the Gemara wanted to say, maybe we could say that there's Karcha, Gedida, and Srita. And women would be excluded from Karcha, which is making themselves bald, and they would be excluded from Gedida, cutting themselves, but scratching themselves would be okay. So then they said, but the Chum said no. Then the Chum said, or whatever, EC says, no, I hold those two are the same. So therefore, one the woman is included, one the woman is excluded. Okay. Abaya Omar. What?
Bald is only for a mace, yeah.
L'chayra, it seems like this is only for a mace, yeah. I didn't have
a
chance
that
to look
it's
into
not?
it. I'm not sure. I'm Pasha Belina. I'm going to look into it. I just didn't. I'm going to say I didn't have time today, but probably could have found time. I don't know. Yeah, I did get a text today about cutting because Nebuch, a guy's wife, cut herself on glass, and a lot all over. I don't know what happened to glass smash. She got cut all over, what was a child in the hospital place, and the guy says, "Don't worry, she's not cutting herself." I don't know if he learns the daf or whatever the guy, but at first then I only saw he sent it in a separate text. So I wasn't when I first saw it. It's like, oh no, right? A married woman to do this. It's one thing a teenager, it's another thing for a married woman to do this. And then Baruch Hashem, I read the first part of the first text that came in before. I was like, oh, Baruch Hashem, he's making a joke. Whatever, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Abaya Omar. Hainu time of the EC. Okay, so we have the first reason for EC because it says bonim veloy bonus. Abaya has a different shot in EC. Hainu time of the EC. This is why EC says that women are potter. The Gomar Karcha B'nei Aaron. Because we learn out Exeter Shav of Karcha from B'nei Aaron. Malal on Noshim Peturas. Just like by B'nei Aaron, women are potter from making themselves bald. Afkan Noshim Peturas. So too, Yisraelim too. Meaning this pasuk really said by Kehanim. So we're learning out Karcha to Yisrael. So I want to ask, so if you're going to say that the entire pasuk is women are not included in that entire pasuk, nishta kromine, let the pasuk stay quiet from it, and then you can learn from a kavachaymer. And what's the kavachaymer? This is what I'm going to say. Kohanim who have a lot more mitzvahs than Yisraelim. It says B'nai Aaron, V'loi B'nai Aaron. It says only the sons of Aaron have these issues, these isurim, and not the daughters. So Yisrael nami Yisrael like Kolshkin Avada. A woman that's a Yisrael is not going to be part of it. So when it says no, Ilav Gzeira Shava, Havamina Hifsika Inyan. If it wouldn't be for Gzeira Shava, I would have thought that there's the hifsika inyan, meaning the pasuk that says all these lists of things that you can't do. Maybe there was a hefsik in the middle of the pasuk, and it doesn't all apply. So Kamash Malan, there comes the Gzeira Shava to tell us that it would apply to everything. Right now, what's going on here? Let's see. Let's see. We have to just see a little bit back to. So hashtanami, Gemara asks hashtanami name of hifsek inyan. Why don't we say that there is hifsek inyan in the pasuk? Himishum gzeira shava, and if you're going to say the gzeira shava of karcha, right? No, that we need for something else. Look at the Tanya. La yikruchu. It says, don't make yourself bald. Yachal afilu karach arba v'chamesh karchas. You would think, okay, let's say she cut herself 4 or 5 times. Lo yehe chayev ala achas. She's only chayev 1, meaning she gets judged on one, I guess, episode of cutting, even if she cuts herself 4 or 5 times. Tamalemer karcha. That's what it says kolcha. L'chayev al kol achas v'achas. She's going to be chayev every time she cuts herself. B'roisham matam elaymer. So what is the word b'roisham? Right on their heads. It says don't cut yourself, and don't make yourself bald between the eyes. So you would think that if somebody cuts themselves, the only way they're going to be usher is if they cut themselves between the eyes. How do we know that it includes the entire head? That if somebody cuts themselves on the, if they make themselves bald on the head, it's the same as making themselves bald b'neinayim. And I only know about kehanim sheriba behema kasam mitzvahs yiseres, because the Torah gives more mitzvahs to kehanim. Yisrael minalan. How do we know that a Yisrael is going to be chayiv for making himself bald anywhere on the head? So nemer kan karcha v'nemer la'alon karcha. It says karcha here, and it says karcha weiter when it's talking about Yisrael. Ma kan chayiv. I'll call karcha v'karcha, just like here. You're chayiv on every karcha v'chayiv ala rosh k'bein einayim, and you're chayiv for making the head bald, the same way you'd be chayiv if you were making between the eyes bald. Af la'alon. Chayav al kol korcha v'korcha. So to further on, you chayav in each and every cut. The chayav al rosh k'bein einayim, and you chayav for cutting the head, for making the head bald, the same way as it is between the eyes. And just like over there, it's on a mace. So to here, it's also on a mace.
This is if you knew it was usher. If you didn't know it was usher, right?
Well, that would be a shaygig.
That would be different, right? Something. This is all where you knew it was usher.
Yeah.
Well, everything is when you know when it's us.
Okay, I don't. Okay.
So otherwise, it'd be a shaygig. I mean, the question is, I mean, what's a shaygig? All right. Now I understand. Doesn't every woman get a waxing on their eyebrows? I don't know. Every woman, many women.
But you said it's mutter.
I'm just saying that's a l'chayra, right?
No, but I think, aren't it Sephardi Bachram have this problem, that unibrow?
Yes, a lot of Ashkenazi Bachram too now too.
Yeah.
Yes, they wanna do their they do their eyebrows. Yes. I don't know. It's I mean, it's a raya that it has to be. It has to be that it's only on a mace. Yeah. I'll have to look it up, Lena, afterwards. Anyway, so that's a Gemara's kasha that you do need the Gzeir Shava. Okay, it's a little technical, or it's a lot technical. Yeah, this is the harder part of the daf. Im Kain, so Gemara says, Nichtayv kara, not Nichtayv kra, kerach. Why didn't the pasuk just say kerach, or you just making Gzeir Shava? My karcha, shamati minot tarti. So therefore, I learn out 2 things. Right? And we could learn out that the Gzeir Shava to tell us to compare no matter how many times they cut themselves, they're going to be chayiv, and that it should work for a yid and pater a woman. Okay, that's a biased way of understanding it. Rav Amar, so this is already we get into the good old. We could get into the whole. Look at the mirror and look at tefillin in the mirror sugya, our favorite sugya, right? Or one of them. Right. So Rava says the reason for Isi is he learns it out from Bein Nechem of tefillin. Mala lan nashim patura is by tefillin. Women are potter from, as we've been learning. Women are potter from tefillin. Afkan nashim paturas. So too, the women are potter from making themselves bald. Right. You hear the tzushtel tefillin. the women are potter from, and Beinei Nechem, that's Beinei Nechem, and Korcha is also Beinei Nechem. So Mamela, they only refer to men and not to women. Okay, but Rabba, my time with Kabai. Why didn't Rabba want to say like Kabai? So Korach and Korcha, like Mashmale. He didn't think there was a diak for Korach and Korcha. Fine, but Abai, my time with Rabba. And why didn't Abai want to say like Rabba? So Amalach, Tfilin Gufayim Wehacha Gomerlo. We learned it out. We need a din for tefillin by itself. Just like there, it's talking about where there's not beinei nechem, right? It's talking about on the top of the head. Afkan makam hanachas b'goyva roish. The makam hanachas and the goyva roish. Right? Meaning, it's very interesting what the Gemara is saying here. Where do you put the tefillin beinei nechem? We all know, unless you're a tzeduki, you don't put the tefillin between your eyes. You put the tefillin between your eyes, but under where the hair grows. Right? That's the same thing with this issur of making yourself bald. It doesn't mean beinei nechem like we're talking about with the unibrows. It's talking about, I mean, that's included too, as far as I know, but it really means the top of the head. So we need the Gzeira Shava to teach us that where we put the tefillin, right? Which is very interesting. That's where we learn out tefillin, one of the biggest mitzvahs that we do. So how do we know where to put the tefillin? Because we learn it out as a Gzeira Shava. I don't know if it's a Gzeira Shava, but we learn it out from people cutting themselves. Making themselves bald for a mace. Right now, here the Tosfos has a kasha. I mean, it should be a pretty obvious kasha. When you make a Gzeira Shava, that compares both subjects both ways, right? You make a Gzeira Shava meaning one thing to the other thing, right? So it goes two ways. You can make the Gzeira Shava, you learn A from B, and you learn B from A. That's the question. Is there such a thing as a Gzeira Shava only halfway? Meaning, can you make a Gzeira Shava halfway? I'm just trying to think of a muscle. When you make a Gzeira Shava, Tesvav, let's say like we learned in yesterday's daf, right? We compare Pesach to Sukkot, right? So do you go both ways? Meaning, do you only learn Pesach from Sukkot and not Sukkot from Pesach? Or do you learn both ways? So Tosfos says, from this Gemara, you see that you only learn Gzeira Shava one way. Why does it have to be one way? Why can't we learn out from making a bald spot where you put the tefillin, and why can't we learn out from tefillin that women are pater? Right? Why can't you do that? Okay, so Tosfos discusses exactly why that's that wasn't the point of the Gzeira Shava, etc., etc. But whatever it is, that's the thing. Now, that's where you get that from this is those who are busy with their tefillin mirrors, because they got to make sure that their tefillin is perfectly between their eyes, right? But the only thing is, it says that there's makam in the roish for the tefillin to be with the two pairs of tefillin. So you're going to have them in between the eyes, the pashtus is. Okay, different sugya.
The mirror, you have the Michigan that make you nuts.
What?
With the tefillin.
Yeah. Parents, next time go over them and say, by the way, where do we know it from that it's supposed to be between your eyes up by your head? Right? Ask them if they know the source.
I couldn't speak to the guy in Hebrew, but he kept coming over to me all the time and was getting mad at me when I would just look at him.
Yeah. So now here we get into Mamish in Yonah de Yoima. Yeah. Because again, the first shita said that from Isi knows it because it says you bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem, your children to Hashem. Right. So what do they do with this pasuk? Bonim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem bisman she'atem noigin minig bonim atem kriyim bonim. When you're noig like sons, you're called sons. Ein atem noigin minig bonim, but if you don't behave to the Rebbeinu Shalom like sons, Einatim Korean Banim, you're not called sons. Dear Rabbi Yehuda. Meir Omer Benkach Ubenkach Atem Kriyim Banim. Either way, you're called Banim. Shenemar Banim Scholim Hema. They are children who are. Again, you can't make it up that the word seichel means stupid, but that's what it is, right? Banim secholim hema. They're children that are stupid, right? But it's still they're called banim. Banim le emun bam, and they're children who don't have emuna in the Rabban Shalom, but they're still called banim. V'aimer zera mireim banim mashchisim, right? Zera, children of Miriam, of bad people, Banim, their children, Mashchisim, who destroy. Right? Again, called Banim. Right? In the place that you say where he said Hashem saying you're not my nation, what you should do is say you're my sons, you're the sons of Hashem. Right, that's living. Right,
According to Yehuda, what are they called? They're not called banim. What are they called?
What are they called?
Avadim.
Avadim, yeah. They're called avadim. Where does it say it? Does it say it later? Why am I not remembering where it says avadim? Rashi say it? Who says they're called avadim? No, I get very good.
Im kivanim
harege and if kavadim. No, but I'm saying I thought somebody in the Gemara said it. Okay, I thought it was in the. Okay, I don't know.
Doesn't the pasuk in Yoina call them? Well, when we don't listen, call us Nachrim.
Yeah, I get. I mean, yeah.
It's not even Avadim. Avadim is a Mila.
Avadim is a Mila. All right, I hear. I don't know. I'm going crazy now, figuring out where it says Avadim. Okay. Anyways, so whatever it is, Rameir is bringing a raya that even when Klaisol doesn't behave themselves, they're still called Banim. But you're saying, according to Rameir, the Rosh Hashanah davening, that's what the Olam is saying, is mashma not like Rameir. Right? Because in Areshes it says, if we're like sons, then fine. If we're like Avadim, right? Then Rachamenu Karachim, or no, it's Banim is Rachamenu Rachamadim, and Ainenu Luchat Tluyas. For Avadim, it's Ainenu Luchat Tluyas. Mashma, according to Rameir, there's no such thing. We're always Banim. The Rosh Hashanah davening.
With tshuva.
Oh, 1 second. That's a big tumult. What Rameir says that we're Banim, that's before doing tshuva or after doing tshuva? Gershon's saying it's after doing tshuva. After doing tshuva, I could have told you you're Banim. No?
I cheated. I looked in Rashi.
What? Okay, so that's the Shaila. That is
Either way,
the
I think Fried has a song about each one, so it doesn't matter. We're covered.
Banim, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's a big tumult, because if it's after, that's the kasha. If it's after them doing chuvas, and then of course they're considered Banim. Right? Okay. Anyways, fighting. My va'aimer. So what's all these va'aimers? Maybe only if they're stupid, they're called sons. But if they have no emuna in the Rabban, then they're not called sons. Even if they don't have emuna, they're still called sons. Right? And if they don't have, maybe only when they don't have emuna, they're not called sons. But how can they, if they're Oived Avodah Zarah, how can they be called sons? These are kids of people that do bad, and they're mashchasim. Right? Tashchis is a lashon, one of the lashonos of Avodah Zarah. And maybe if they're kids that are destructive, b'nei malya loy mikru, but they're not going to be considered regular kids. Tashma v'omer v'yakum asher yomer lehem lo yami atem yomer lehem b'ni kel chai. Right? So what does that mean? That means that if you have, Rashi says that they could be called, through tshuva, they can be called the emestika. You can go back to your full, meaning you could have done avodah zara, not have any yamuna, all the wonderful things, right? Still, if you do tshuva, you come back right to being a regular son.
Isn't that the answer to your question?
What do you mean?
You asked, anyone could say with tshuva, we call bana. This is tshuva from the antithesis of Yiddishkeit. No emuna, and you are over avodah zara, you can still do tshuva and could be considered the b'ni b'chayri Yisrael. That's a chiddush.
Is it? How can you say that? Yeah, well, so we're being pumped that we could do tshuva and we're going to be accepted like regular, right?
Yeah.
Why would I think not?
To do tshuva from the Gimel
From avodah
Chaburis
zara?
and be mamish back to square one.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to say? I don't. We get. Thank you.
It's the second of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim, but it's still a chiddush. It's not.
What's a chiddush?
That you still accept it back as a regular, legitimate kid, even though you were a bum.
It's it. What's the
Okay,
problem?
I don't know. You're saying that maybe
the Shivrei Luchas Menuchin Ba'arin, right? Right? Why don't they throw him away? Why don't they bury him? They put him in the Aron to show that we did tshuva, so we're fine, we're good.
I mean, we know all of these things, but that means it's pashut.
It seems pretty pashut. It's in the same chumash with the things you say are not pashut. It's in the same place. Well,
There's a lot of chiddushim in the Torah now. Oh, nothing's a chiddush in the Torah.
no.
Maybe not.
Why is it a chiddush?
I don't know. Okay, whatever it is. I don't think it's such a thing.
I didn't. I'll take 2 minutes. Mendel sent me, and he told me this word about Shivrei Luchas because he sent me in Japan. There's an art form called kintsugi.
The what?
It is an art form called kintsugi. It's a Japanese word, I imagine. When a keli breaks, they don't throw it away. One, because of Baltash, it's like, why should you throw it away? You could fix it. And when you fix it, you highlight where the breaks were with a gold or silver to show that it's a kli again. It's not broken, it's a kli. It's mamish lahabdul, what was it? You know, Shivrei Luchas Menuchin Ba'arin, and Makom Shabbat Tshuva Oimdim, right? You're good. You're good now. You were bad, yourself. And now you're good, and we keep you. And you.
So after the job, after the job, chop your head off. So then they put a line over there.
I'm not talking about World War II. My father was stationed over there. So.
From Shivrei Luchas alone, I would have said that they're not on the same standard as the Luchas. You keep them because
but they're in the Aron. They're in the Aron. Okay. And Klal Yisrael did the biggest Aveira with them, and they're in the Aron.
True. Are they the Luchas though? We needed a second set. They wish to say no. Just put them together. We have Luchas again.
I see.
The Gemara uses that the Shivrei Luchas Menuchas Ba'aron tell you that a Talmid Chacham Shachach Lemuida, he's also, you give him the same cover. I don't know what it's got to do with tshuva, but there you see is from those that is used to tell you that.
I hear. Okay, whatever it is.
You still get covered. Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, it's okay, but I don't know. Bottom line is, Gershon, you're running down some slippery slopes over there with the Havamina that you could do tshuva. You're telling us Aseres you made tshuva. You could do tshuva, but you ain't going to be legit. So what do you mean? What I need it for?
Adam Arishan was so excited about the fact that he could do a full tshuva that he said, I would have done the chet again.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how exciting it was to Adam Arishan. But to us, it's Pashut.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe I ought to try that approach. Keep doing that. Tshuva is so geschmack. I might as well do some Averas. Anyway, okay. Let's go
By
right.
the way, he didn't do it again, but he said it was kedai to do it in order to find out the chiddush of tshuva.
Yeah. And what are you saying, Avi?
Makom she'bal tshuva omed tzadik lo yafo.
Ain't right. And
Now, are we going to quote Wine God or no?
who?
Doesn't Wine God have a vart? You know why? Malcolm trying to say?
Yes, we know. We know. It's from the Kotzka.
What's the var?
It's not from the Rebbe Fol. It's from the Kotzka.
What does he say?
Well, it's stink dart. That's why. That's why it's the real. It doesn't go there.
It smells over there, huh? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Zog the Mishnah. Hasmichas, Vatnufas. Okay, now this is basically kachim. So smichas. Now, don't try and take this and say, like, you see, women can't get smicha. No woman rabbis. That's not what it's referring to. It could be that too, but that's not what this mission is referring to. It's referring to smicha, to lean on the animal. Right? The owner of the animal leans on it and he does a vidur. Right? Tnufa is to wave the. You have to take parts of the animal for Kavim Shlomim and you wave it up and down. Hagashos is to when you bring the meats closer to the mizbeach. Kmitzas is when where the kohen has to take the palm, the two middle fingers with the palm. Faktaris and being makta the ketaris. Malikos is cutting the bird's heads with your thumb. Kabbalas is getting the blood. Hazar is sprinkling.
3 fingers. So Yaakov is 3.
Did I say 2 fingers? I meant 3 fingers. Yeah. Yes, sorry. Yeah. The middle 3 fingers. The middle 3 fingers. There you go. Right. Thank you. Ba'azois, it's the kohen is taking, things are stepping on his territory. Yeah. Ba'azois and the sprinkling. Noyagim about noshim v'loy noshim. That's also another interesting lashon. Noyagim. Right? It's noyagim by men and not women. Mashma, that women could really do it. It's just the minig is not like that. I don't think the word minig back in the Gemara's times, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's what it's referring to, but okay. Chutz mi mincha, saita, unazira. Except for the mincha of a saita and a nazira, shehein menifas. There the women do tenufa. Right? The saita, obviously, we're talking about the carbon that she brings. So she has to do tenufa. And a nazira. Right, when she's done with the naziras, she has to bring they have to bring 3 karbanas, and she has to wave it. Yeah, okay, we'll see that in the Gemara. Fine. Smichas tichsiv daber al bnei Yisrael v'samach bnei Yisrael samach bnei Yisrael samach. Right, this is all these next bunch of lines are straightforward. It says bnei Yisrael, not bnei Yisrael. Tenufas daber al bnei Yisrael v'heinif bnei Yisrael manifim bnei Yisrael manifas. Right, hagashas tichsiv v'zayis taras hamincha hakriv oisa bnei Aaron v'loy bnei Aaron. Right? Kemitzas, Tachsiv Avia, El Bnei Aaron, Vakomats Bnei Aaron, V'lei Bnei Aaron. Fine. Haktaris, Tachsiv Iktiru, Isa Bnei Aaron, V'lei Bnei Aaron. Amalikus, Tachsiv Malak, V'hiktir, Iskish Malika, Laktar. We have to make a comparison between knocking off the neck with the thumbs and Taurus. Hakabalas, Tachsiv, V'krivu Bnei Aaron. It says that Bnei Aaron have to bring the blood to the mizbeach. V'amar mar on the base now. The krivu zukabalas adam. Hikrivu means to accept the dam. Right? Doesn't mean to bring it close. It means to accept it. Okay, so it's only bnei Aaron, not bnei Aaron. Right. V'hazois and the sprinkling. So Gemara says hazah de heichal. What are we talking about? Which hazah? Right? Eat the para. If we're talking about the para aduma, elazar ksivba. It says Elazar, right? Meaning Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen is the one that's supposed to do it, and only the Kohen. So that can't. So of course it's Pashut. If only the Kohen God, sorry, not the Kohen God. If only the Kohen God could do it, so then of course a woman can't do it. And either panim, and either the prim. I'm sorry. And if it's when you bring carbon if when you sprinkle the blood on the paraiches, that's by when the kohen messes up in a psak, or he forgets something. HaKohen HaMashiach kosaba, that says Kohen HaMashiach. So which carbon exactly would we think that a woman would be able to do? Al-Hazah de ben Oif. It's talking about the Hazah of literally the son of a bird, right? Meaning it's a bird that's brought for a chatas. Yeah, ben sign, because we think we would learn it out from a kavachaymer, from a ben sign. Ma ben sign shaloi kavaloi kain l'shkitasai. A ben sign, we know I think we all know this. A ben sign meaning kain does not need to shecht. Any Yisrael can shecht. Azar is kosher to do shchita. So a ben sign meaning an animal that it does not need a kain to shecht it. But to sprinkle the blood, it needs hazah. It needs a kain. To sprinkle the blood, it needs a kain. So ben oif shekava kain. But so a bird, which we know needs a kain, ain't a din sheyikvalei lazasai. Is it in a kavachaymer that you need a male, right? A man in order to do the hazah, right? It's a pasha the kavachaymer. Again, a regular animal works for Yisrael. Yet the hazah, the sprinkling, is only by a kain, right? So a bird that you need a kain to do the malika is in a kavachaymer that you're going to need a kain who is a male in order to do the hazah, right? It's a passion. Fine.
There's a zar who does avoida. He gets misa, no?
Correct.
Misa de Shemayim.
As far as I
know,
maybe
this is the reason why the Mishnah says noyagim for this one. Ain't done a din in a fashis mikal v'chayim. This whole thing is from a kal v'chayim. It's mashma that this azah.
You're not going to dana from a kal v'chayim.
Yeah.
Are you? Maybe. Interesting. I hear that pshat. Okay, chutz mincha saita v'nazira, except for a mincha saita v'nazira where the woman does do the waving. Amalei Rav Eliezer Rav Yoshi the Dari. Rav Eliezer is told to Rav Yoshia of his dar, right? Meaning as opposed to from a previous dar. Don't sit down. That's where you have to touch it, because really karach means your feet. Don't sit on your feet, which really means do sit on your feet, meaning don't sit down until you explain to me this Gemara. How do we know that the mincha that a saita brings needs to be waved? Minalan, Gemara says minalan, but Kufak said we don't. What do you mean? How do we know? It says it right there in the pasuk. Behenef as a mincha, and you have to wave the carbon mincha. Not that it has to be waved. We know it has to be waved. Who says that the owners are the ones that have to wave it? So what it says, Asa yad yad mishlam, and we learn out Xer Shav of yad yad from Shalom. The kohen takes it from the hand of the woman, right? Uksiv hasam yadav tiviana. His hands will bring it. So what does that mean? Makan kohen aflahalan kohen, just like here by the saita. So the kohen has to wave it along with the saita, and so then malahalan and malahalan bailam afkan bailam. So meaning you need the kohen to do it, and you need, just like over there, you need the owners. So too here you need the owners. Okay, so kohen machnas yadei tachas yad bailam, and if the kohen puts his hands under the hands of the yad bailam, and they does tenufa. Again, we discussed this. What's with the touching? First of all, Taisus asks what's with the chatzitza. Right? I mean, who's supposed to touch the carbon? Whoever's hands is on the bottom, there's a chatzitza between that and the, right? So, and then also you have what's with the man touching a woman, especially a saita.
This is just classic. This is classic.
Yeah.
A man can never touch a lady except a kohen with a saita. He can touch a hand. That's classic. Rubbish, classic.
Yep. You get 100%. Yep. So, so Taisus, I'm not remembering now. It says, so Taisus basically says Xeris Hakosu, so you can't say it's a chatzitza. That's the way Taisus says it. Right? Anyways, Ashkan Saita Nazira Minalan. So we see this by a Saita. How about a Nazira? Asya Kaf Kaf Mi Saita. So we learn out the Gzer Shav Kaf Kaf from Saita. A palm. Kaf means a palm or a hand. So by Saita, just by Saita, we know that she has to wave it, and together with the Kayan. So too here by Nazira, when she's a female Nazir, also she has to wave it together with the Kayan. Okay, we'll stop over here. And the Olam should have a fine night.
What's the Hineni Mukin Kayan mitzvah? How is that written by the Kayan? Right, he does it before he does the smicha with the saita. I'm here. Hineni Mukin Kayan mitzvah. How does he do? What? I wonder what's written over there. How